Memorization is a key process in academic life. There are teachers who rant against memorization, teachers who claim to hold memorization in contempt. I feel that they have not fully understood the nature of memorization and the role of memorization in the academic process. Memorization without comprehension is dangerous, and in the long run, it's not feasible. Memorization is just a tool, an essential tool in the academic process. I don't think there is anything wrong with memorization per se. It is how you understand the nature of memorization and how you use memorization that matters. Winston Churchill, for example, used to memorize every speech of his so thoroughly that he could repeat it effortlessly from the first sentence to the last sentence, and also from the last sentence to the first sentence. Teachers who ridicule memorization per se have to read the biography of Winston Churchill and the role that memorization played in his career and his life. There is the old saying, a small hole can sink a big ship. A small hole can sink a big ship. Today we shall discuss 5 small holes which can sink the ship of memorization. Every student has carried out repeatedly memorization exercises and has many a time met with failure in these exercises. Failure in memorization can result in frustration, can demoralize the student, and cause further damage to his academic life. It is important for the student to avoid the reasons that are responsible for standing in the way of success in the student's memorization processes. The first of these is lack of interest. The first problem is lack of interest. All of us have subjects, disciplines in which we have an inborn interest, and we find it easy to memorize material in that subject, in that discipline, in that area. On the other hand, we have subjects we don't like, we have disciplines we don't like, we have areas we don't like. We find it very difficult to memorize material in a discipline in a subject we don't like. For example, I can memorize any amount of material related to literature, related to history, related to sociology, but I cannot memorize anything related to chemistry, for example. The problem with many students is that they find themselves studying subjects in which they are not genuinely interested. If you are one such student, you have two options before you. It's really unfortunate to study a subject you don't like. You have two options before you. You can change your subject. You can change your subject, but if that is not feasible, you can try to create an interest in that subject artificially. You should take a special effort to love that subject. It's like an arranged marriage. An arranged marriage, that is what it is known as in India, is fixed by your parents. Sometimes you don't even see the girl before marrying her. But then you can love the girl. You can fall in love with the girl after the marriage. And frequently, arranged marriages are more successful than love marriages. So, you should pretend that you love your subject. You should pretend that you are passionate about your subject. You should create an interest artificially in your subject. And after some time, you will find that you are really in love with your subject. I would like to bring to your attention the case of Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, whose birthday is celebrated all over India as Teachers' Day. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan wanted to study law, but by an accident, he was compelled to choose philosophy, or rather, more exactly, philosophy chose him. But once he chose philosophy, philosophy became the ruling passion of his life, and he became one of the most famous Indian philosophers of his time. The second problem is splintered focus. You may be genuinely interested in your subject, but you may also be genuinely interested in numerous other things. A splintered focus can prove to be disastrous. I find students very much interested in their studies, of course, but I also find them equally interested in following cricket, watching cartoons, listening to music, chatting with buddies. The list can go on and on. In the Gurukulas of ancient India, students were expected to be brahmacharis. This was to avoid distractions. This was to avoid the splintering of focus. I am not suggesting that you should become a monomaniac. It's always better to develop into a rounded personality. But you must remember that it's very difficult to keep too many balls in the air for long. We now come to the third problem: insufficient effort. Nobody ever succeeded in anything without taking the requisite effort. Memorization is something which demands a lot of effort, and frequently memorization fails because of the simple reason that the effort is not enough. The effort is not sufficient. It is not enough that you take tremendous effort. You must take tremendous effort spread over time. Time is a crucial factor in the memorization process. Instead of spending 5 hours memorizing something, 5 hours at one go memorizing something, you can divide that time, 5 hours, into, say, 5 1 hour spells spread over 5 days. It is not enough that you take effort. You must take effort spread over time. Errors in methodology are capable of seriously undermining the memorization process. You have to be systematic in your efforts. The methodology has to be error-free. The memorization process has to be streamlined. We shall discuss these aspects in detail later, hopefully. You should carry out an overview of the methodology used and ensure that it is free from errors. We now reach the last point: unprepared individual. Remember the old proverb, Rome was not built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. The preparation of the individual is very important. If the individual is completely unprepared for the memorization process, even if all the other things are fine, the individual will have difficulties in carrying out the process successfully. If I may strike a personal note, my memorization capacities with reference to literature are much higher today than what they were when I was a student. This is because I've been spending all my life reading, writing, absorbing things about literature, and it is easier for me now to carry out memorization processes with reference to the discipline than it was when I was a student. I would like to conclude by drawing your attention to my video, An Ancient Indian Memorization Secret, which is about a method I have been using all my life. I shall provide the link, and I hope that you will find the method useful. All the best.